Deadly allure, the man in the photo had sand-blonde hair, the sunlight laying a soft, mist-like sheen across it. That vivid golden glow made his entire body seem as if it was emitting light. The captured moment showed him stepping out of a luxurious black Rolls-Royce, the frame freezing precisely as his foot touched the ground. His handmade thin-soled leather shoes were immaculate, revealing the curve of his ankle hugged perfectly by long black socks. One could even see the delicate outline of his bone structure. From any angle, this man radiated an impossible elegance, aristocratic, refined, almost unreal. Aurora Shen had only glanced at the photo, yet the blood in her veins rushed straight to her head. No wonder Lydia kept getting worked up and repeating the words "super hot," perhaps. Lydia was just like her, completely defenseless against handsome, muscular men in perfectly tailored suits. Aurora returned the phone and admitted sincerely, "You're right. He's unbelievably sexy." The moment she spoke, a tall figure suddenly loomed behind her, blocking most of the sunlight streaming through the window. "Miss Shen, we meet again." His voice wasn't particularly emotional, yet the vibration of it brushed past Aurora's ear like a soft feather. A faint shiver coursed down her spine. They were far too close. His warm breath skimmed the back of her neck, raising goosebumps instantly. Then a cold scent enveloped her, a crisp, herbal coolness of mugwort, dry and clean, with a faint bitterness, like crushed leaves. It reminded her of a hard orange peel candy in winter, its icy temps slowly melting down her tongue. Aurora turned around, finding herself staring into a pair of grey-green eyes cold enough to evoke the image of a glacier stream trickling beneath a thin sheet of snow. Instinctively, she stepped back twice to widen the distance, easing the pressure on her chest. "Mr. Lawrence, what are you doing here?" She deliberately pretended not to recognize him from the photo, widening her eyes in feigned surprise. Lydia cut in at once. "Oh my God, Aurora, you two know each other." Lawrence stepped back slightly, giving her space. Aurora merely offered a polite smile. "We've just met briefly, not close." She nodded at Lawrence and excused herself. It wasn't that she didn't want to talk to a man that stunning, but the information she'd read about his lineage the night before had extinguished any thought of getting closer. The divide between them was simply too great, an entire sky apart. The flirtatious crest of his Roman noble bloodline was like an invisible wall standing firmly between them. Even in a fading era of aristocracy, his family still wielded powerful influence in business, art, and politics. Many desired Lawrence's beauty, fortune, and status, yet very few dared approach him. As for Aurora, she understood her limits. She had neither the strength nor the desire to chase something impossible. When she entered the classroom, she chose a seat in the middle, slightly toward the back. Lydia arrived soon after, and the moment she saw Aurora, she launched into complaints about Lawrence refusing to give her his contact info. Aurora pulled out her notebook and teased, "What exactly do you want him to help you with?" Still staring dreamily at Lawrence on the podium, Lydia sighed dramatically. "He's that sexy, who wouldn't want to sleep with him?" Then she leaned closer and whispered excitedly, "I heard Mr. Lawrence has some Chinese blood, and Chinese men are very polite and very gentle in bed, right?" Her voice was too loud. Several students in front turned around, curious for the answer. "Not necessarily," Aurora replied coolly. "That's just your assumption." Lydia blinked. "So you prefer gentlemen in bed?" A lively argument broke out among the girls, gentle or rough, which was better, leaving Aurora burying her head in silent disbelief. Throughout the entire lecture, Lydia and two beautiful blonde girls kept whispering and feminizing Lawrence non-stop. His perfect face, the curve of his back, his long legs, his lean sculpted body, nothing escaped their evaluation. Finally, they concluded that his waistline and legs indicated excellent fertility, and his bed skills were undoubtedly extraordinary. Aurora heard so much, she didn't dare look at Lawrence anymore, feeling as if she were being dragged into their shameless fantasies. The only reason Lawrence was at the university today was to introduce several art projects sponsored by his family and their museum, analyzing the commercial value behind art patronage. To invite him, Professor Adam had probably used up all his charm at last night's reception. When the lecture ended, the students who usually rushed straight out of the classroom instead crowded toward the podium, forming a tight ring around Lawrence. 2 thick circles of people blocked the entire exit. Aurora Shen had to work as an interpreter at the trade fair that afternoon, so she squeezed through the crowd, trying her best to escape the room. Because Lawrence was tall, and standing on the podium no less, he only had to tilt his head to clearly see her struggling to make her way toward the door. His gaze lingered on her for the briefest moment before shifting away, as if it meant nothing at all. Aurora had just managed to break free from the swarm when Professor Adam called out, "Aurora, wait." He hurried over, noticing how rushed she seemed. "You have a shift this afternoon too?" Aurora nodded. "Yes, Professor. Did you need something from me?" Professor Adam hesitated before saying, "Well, the thing is, Mr. Lawrence needs an assistant familiar with art history and digital media for his field study in Florence next month. I recommended you." "I'm sorry, what?" Aurora genuinely couldn't believe her ears. This is an extremely rare opportunity. Many students in the department would kill for it. Her face tightened with unease. She knew very well how valuable this chance was, not only for experience, but also for the fact that she would be working beside Lawrence for an entire month. Anyone else would accept without a second thought. But she had already spent 2 months of her living expenses on a gown and shoes. If she quit her part-time job, how was she going to survive? Ask him for money again. She would rather starve in Italy. Seeing her hesitation, Professor Adam placed a firm, encouraging hand on her shoulder. "The decision is yours. Professor, would this assistant position pay?" she blurted out, before she could stop herself. "Well, how much would Miss Shen like?" Both Aurora and Professor Adam turned around. Lawrence was suddenly behind them, one hand tucked casually into his pocket, a polite faint smile curving his lips. Aurora jumped slightly. She hadn't expected him to move that fast, nor to have such sharp hearing. She thought for a moment, then subtly held up 5 fingers. 500 euros. Lawrence asked. Aurora panicked and waved her hands frantically. No. 50 euros is enough, sir. Pritters at exhibitions were usually paid around 35 to 40 euros per hour. She thought asking for 50 wasn't unreasonable. Lawrence fell silent for a moment, as if choosing his words. She immediately assumed she had overshot his limit. Instantly, his dazzling aura dimmed in her mind. The descendant of the illustrious Deville family couldn't afford 50 euros an hour. Just as she was about to decline, Lawrence said calmly, "My assistant's work is rather particular." His grey-green eyes met hers, wet, misty, like a sea under winter fog, the sky refusing to clear. Up close, that gaze carried a weight that made one instinctively willing to bow. Fortunately, Aurora still had enough sanity left to keep her composure. "Mr. Lawrence, the thing is, I'm a third-year student preparing for graduation. I'm really very busy. I understand, and because the work is complex, I'm willing to pay Miss Shen 600 euros per day." "What?" 600 euros. Her heart thudded violently against her ribs. "And if we go over 6 hours," he added, "I'll pay an extra 100 euros for each additional hour." Aurora's expression changed at once. "But honestly speaking, having this on my resume would be a tremendous highlight." Lawrence's lips curved, confident and aristocratically smug. He knew full well no one could refuse terms this enticing. He let out a soft chuckle. "So then, Miss Shen, shall we begin today?"